So we started with chapter 14, text 5. Somebody wants to read? Okay, I will read. Sattva brajastaba iti gunai prakriti sambhava nibadhan dhati mahabaho dehe dehinam avayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. So there is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, right? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. So when a living entity comes in contact with these, it becomes conditioned by these modes. It's kind of like getting a disease like COVID. Once you come in contact with somebody with COVID, you get infected with that disease. So the modes of material nature, they are material, but a soul, a living entity, that is Tatashta Shakti. So there are three kinds of living entities, right? There is the Vishnu Tattva, the Krishna and Krishna's expansions, like Srimati Radharani, Balaram, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Lord Ramachandra, and all the avatars. They are God category. God category doesn't get affected by the three modes because they're above the three modes. Then there's the Jiva category, that is us. And Jiva category gets affected because we are Tathashta Shakti. We can be material, we can be spiritual. We are spiritual by default, but we can be overcome by material covering or spiritual consciousness, right? Both of these work on us. Whereas if you look at Srimati Radharani, or if you look at all Krishna's cowherd boyfriends, they don't get affected by these things, modes of nature. They are Nitya Siddha. They are always liberated. Wherever they are, they're liberated. Whereas for us, we can get easily contaminated by the three modes and we get influenced by the three modes of material nature. Now, in chapter 14, Krishna is going to describe much more details about the modes of nature. So when we look around us, we can see how these modes are affecting our environment, affecting our consciousness. And as we recognize it, we can choose not to be affected by it, right? So when we recognize there's COVID that gets transmitted through, breathing or whatever, we can wear a mask. Same way with the modes of nature, when we recognize that, oh, this is how the modes of nature are acting on me, we can wear a mask to protect ourselves. All right, we'll move on to the next verse, 14.6. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badhanati jnana sangena chanagaha. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So mode of goodness is the purest of the other modes, passion and ignorance, sattvic. So sattvic, being purer than others, is illuminating. It frees one from sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So what happens is, in the sattvic guna, it is said the sattvic guna is a window to the spiritual world. So spirituality is Shuddha Sattva, is beyond Sattva. But in sattvic gun, you at least get to see what it might be like in the spiritual consciousness. So sattvic gun is the best of the three gunas, the material. It is material still, but it is better of the other two. Okay, somebody wants to read 14.7.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I read?
Go ahead.
Okay. Chapter 14, Text 7. Rajo ragat makam vidhi trishna sangha samudbhavan tan nibadnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. Translation. The mood of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions.
Okay. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. I want this, I want that. It pulls you here and there. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive action. This is why we work very hard so we can buy that BMW or buy that watch or whatever else, right? So the strong desires are very, very pulling us in directions where, as a living entity, we almost are helplessly kind of pushing in the direction. I need this or else I will die, right? That kind of extreme pull is coming from the mode of passion. It's almost beyond our capacity to withhold. 14.8.
Chapter 14, Text 8. Tamastva agnanajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhis tanibadnati bharata. Translation. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul.
Okay, so mode of ignorance. Tamas. Tamas means darkness. So the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, ignorance means lack of knowledge, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep. So without knowledge, what happens? We are clueless. We act like mad, right? If you go to a madhouse, you'll see people saying, I'm Gandhi, I'm Nehru, I'm this, I'm that. They forget who they are, right? One of my friend's mother has a mental illness, and she's perpetually fearful that people want to, rob her. She's perpetually falling in love with people who are her son's age. So basically acting not in her real state. So that is madness. And that is because the knowledge structure has been somehow been broken. Right? When we know that I am taken care of, this is my friend, this is my enemy, this is who I can be close with, this is who I cannot be close with, we act normally. But in her case, it is broken. So like that, mode of ignorance or tamas is basically where the knowledge part has been broken. And as a result, one acts like a mad person. This happens when this is not only mental illness, it also happens when we are angry, when we are lusty, when we are greedy, when greed overcomes, anger overcomes, lust overcomes, we forget who we are. The knowledge gets disconnected. That this is, I cannot act like this. I'm a respectable citizen. I am a respectable devotee. I am so and so. I have to be proper. One forgets that and one acts crazy. Later on, they regret, oh, how could I act like that? How could I talk like that? How could I behave like that? But when our knowledge is disconnected from our consciousness, this happens. And that is mode of ignorance. So it is very easy to fall prey to mode of ignorance. When we drink alcohol, for example, when we take drugs, for example, when we associate with those who are in the mode of ignorance. So these, just like diseases spread from a diseased person to a not diseased person, and they also become diseased, same way, An ignorant person will influence you in an ignorant way. Ignorant food, will influence you in the same way. Mode of ignorance related movies will influence you in the same way. Mode of ignorance related music will, influence you with mode of ignorance. So you come in contact with mode of ignorance through the five senses. As you see something, hear something, smell something, taste something, based on that, you get influenced. I was at ILS, and one of the sessions was being talked about sound, the effect of sound. And he was the speaker, Hanu Swami. He was mentioning that how sound impacts anything. At the core atomic level, there is vibration. At the molecular level, there is vibration. Vibration means there is subtle sound, right? And based on whether it's brass or gold or whatever, the vibration differs. So same way, our organs have vibration. And there are cures where certain sound can be used to correct our vibrations related to our chakras and actually cure people, right? So like that, as he was going through that whole journey, he talked about an experiment that was done on plants at the University of Florida. So one room, the same plant was placed, but in one room they were playing, I think, reggae music or some metallic, very mode of ignorance kind of music, crazy sound. In one room there was classical, Western classical music. In the third room there was some Vedic raga that was playing. And as the plant was exposed to that music, the plant that was exposed to that reggae, metallic music died. The plant that was exposed to Western classical music was growing normally. The plant that was exposed to the Vedic raga from Atharva Veda or something grew, in very, very, very nice way, much better than the other plant. So it is clear that even the plants don't have, neurons and things like that, but still the vibration acts on them and they reciprocate with that and accordingly. So imagine what kind of, influence those kind of vibrations can have on our consciousness. What we hear on TV and the news and the movies, right? It puts in fear in our hearts because that's how those TV channels get TRP, GRP ratings, right? So the more fear they put in, the more you watch, the more ad revenues they get, right? So all the news channels are talking about all the negative things that are happening in the world. Nobody cares about the positive things because it's not going to get the viewership. People are going to be relaxed. They're going to be happy. They're going to feel comfortable. And when they feel comfortable, they don't watch TV. They spend time with family. So they want you to watch TV and watch the news. So you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? There's an earthquake. Oh God, is there a war? Oh, is there a this and then that, right? So people want you to be in anxiety. So that kind of consciousness, guess what? It leads to diseases, stress, anxiety, sleeplessness, all kinds of problems. So what is subtle affects growth. So the associating with mode of goodness, with this food, like, most of us devotees, we eat sattvic food because that's all we can offer to Krishna. We can't offer rajasic or tamasic food, right? So we don't eat onion garlic. Why? Because it's rajasic. We don't drink alcohol because it's tamasic, right? We have sattvic food that doesn't have too much pungency, too much hot, too much sour, too much. It's balanced diet, nutritious, cooked within 3 hours. So we're going to all hear all of these details from Krishna directly. So you'll understand how to live life in a sattvic way. All right. So darkness. Now we understand sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Any questions on these three modes of nature? Anybody confused?
Okay. A small question, Prabhuji. Do you watch TV?
Do I watch TV? I don't watch TV, but once in a while, if there is something important happening, I will watch it, yes.
And newspaper?
No. I am on Facebook. I get, some, on my iPhone, there is this snippet of news that we get. All the headlines I get, it's a little app. And that's good enough for me. Why are you asking me that question? I mean, most people my age don't read the newspaper anymore, but yeah, they do consume the news. But yeah, I don't go gung-ho over the news because most of the news, coming from the business background, it's paid news anyway. I can see, because I deal with politicians and business people and whatnot, media people, I know how all this is manipulated for the audience to be in a certain state of mind. So yeah, I don't fall prey to it. But yeah, if there is like a wedding happening of some big princess queen, I might watch. If there's a Nobel laureate from Bengal getting a Nobel Prize, sure, I'll watch it, right? If there is a Ukraine war happening, I will probably watch the first 2 days, and then move on. Yeah, I'm not like closeted, like I don't live in a cave, but at the same time, I don't want to put myself to that torture of Arnab Goswami. Yes, Aparna, go ahead.
Yes, I had a question that how to, because if we are living in this world, we have to be like, aware of our material surroundings also. And though we can be Krishna consciousness, we have to interact with others and, but how to get that filter, like, that this is, okay, this is Sattvic and I'll
Yeah,
let
you
this.
can't go crazy over it. See, you can't go crazy over it, but as much as possible, know for what it is. That's all. Like, do I really need the details of how many people died in Ukraine every single day? No. But do I need the detail of if the war is still going on or the war is ending? Yes. Can I get that from just basic sources? Yes. But if you look at the news channels, they're like repeat, 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 repeat. Same thing. They're going to keep repeating just to scare the hell out of you. Like, oh, this is so bad, right? Yeah, there are bad things. There are good things. Timothy Martin is asking if I watch Netflix. Yes, I do when I have time. I have not watched it in 2 months, but I intend to whenever I get a little break. Okay. Wow. Yeah, see, the thing is, we are not pure devotees. So I'm not telling you to leave everything, go to the Himalayas, live in a cave. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be aware of what you're watching. Even if I'm watching Netflix, I will watch something that will actually increase my knowledge, right? A docu-series, or I'll watch a movie, even if I watch something that's positive, something that is a biography of somebody, or it has won Oscars. I'm going to watch something like that, where I'm going to have a great entertainment, and it's going to invoke certain positive emotions in me. I'm not going to watch something that's going to bring in negative emotions, like horror movies. I used to love horror movies, but it's just ghosts and negativity and fear. And I have anyway a lot of negative stuff happening in my life without asking for it. Why watch it and invite negativity into my life? So I try to be a little more on the positive side. That doesn't mean I don't entertain myself. I do entertain myself. I'm not living in a cave. But again, I'm careful what I let, what I watch, what I read, things like that. I hope that helps. But again, you don't have to be me. You be yourself. But at least be aware what is good for you and what is not. Not my
I had
answer.
another.
Like happy entertainment is sattvic. Yeah, exactly. Like at ILS, and there's called Leadership Sangha, from morning 10 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. we were having session, break, lunch, networking, again, session. So like that. And every evening we had entertainment. One night, 3 nights we had kirtan, and one night we had a drama, Sakshi Gopal. It was amazingly done drama. So yes, there's need for entertainment. Krishna is saying you have to balance your ahar, your eating, your entertainment, and your sleep. You need to balance these, to be perfectly happy. So entertainment is a very crucial aspect of life. But some people entertain themselves in very gruesome ways. Like there used to be Mrigari the hunter, who used to entertain himself by half killing animals. He would love to watch the animal slowly bleed to death and cry and feel the pain. So that kind of masochistic, entertainment is is more on the mode of ignorance. Mode of passion is something else, and mode of goodness is something that keeps you positive, keeps you happy, makes you, at the end of the day, you go to sleep with a smile on your face, right? Okay, and Krishna conscious entertainment is like kirtan, dancing in the kirtan and chanting and some Krishna conscious drama. That is very good, but most of us don't have the taste for it. So at least try to be on the positive side, so you have positive emotions. All right, moving on. Sattvam 14.9. Did we read this, Aparna, or we are going to read this?
Yes, we need to read this.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Chapter 14, text 9. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati raja karmani bharata jnanam avritya tu tama pramade sanjayate uta. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness.
Very, very good. Yeah, so mode of goodness. So Krishna is summarizing it. Mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. You can be happy, wholesomely happy, right? Happiness also has grades. There is happiness in the mode of ignorance. Tamasic happiness is what you gain from drugs, alcohol, smoking, right? The Rajasic happiness you gain from winning over your friends, achievements, victory. And Sattvic happiness is derived from giving in charity, right? Writing, creating some kind of creative writing or a painting or a poetry or something, helping someone, praying to the Supreme Lord, meditation, worship. All of these sattvic activities give us positive happiness. So happiness is there in all three modes, but the flavor of happiness is different as you go in the different modes, right? Flavor of goodness, sattvic happiness versus tamasic happiness versus rajasic happiness. Okay. I know this can be confusing, so stop me and ask me if I ever confuse you. So tamasic happiness or tamaguna binds one to madness. That means, why is it madness? Because you're doing that's harmful to yourself and harmful to others. That is why it's madness. You're forgetting who you are. So in sattva guna, you're the most aware of your spiritual reality. In rajaguna, you're a little less aware of your spiritual reality. And in tamaguna, you're the least aware of your spiritual reality. So it is important that you at least try to be as much as not be mad. That means not harmful to yourself and to others. 14:10.
Chapter 14, text 10. Rajastamas cha bhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajasattvam tamaschaiva tamah sattvam rajastata. Translation. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy.
This is best described through a drama. I used to actually have people enact this when we used to have physical study of Bhagavad Gita. I used to have people enact these dramas because it's so much more easily understandable, because Sattva-guna is trying to, influence you, and Tamaguna says, no, get out of the way. I am going to influence you and I'm going to make you, maddened with harmful things. And Rajaguna is like, get out of the way, I'm going to influence you. So it's like they're always fighting for supremacy, right? And then one of them comes in and influences us, and we're like, oh. So when we are spiritually asleep, whoever pushes us in their direction, we move in that direction. When we are spiritually awake, we learn to say no to the modes. So we say, oh no, you will not act this way, you will not influence me this way. I will act the way I want, right? So spiritually awake, you have to be awake to say no. Just like sometimes in college, a friend might say, hey, you should smoke. You should do everything at least once in your life. They have a saying like that. Okay, let me try it. And then you get addicted, right? And for the rest of your whatever number of years, you're trying to get out of smoking habit. So it's kind of like that. So once you kind of get in there, if you're spiritually asleep, you will not be able to say no to your friends. Like for me, before going to college, I was trained very well that drinking and smoking and addictions are not something that are to be proud of. They're not something that are desirable. So when I had the option, as a young student, a lot of times I was in events I was not supposed to be, in the sense that I was in student government. So in student government, there were 5 of us executive board members, president, vice president, and the VPs. So we would be invited to some of the big trustee events where everybody is an adult. So nobody asks you a question if you're below 21, above 21, because it's out of 100 people, there's only 5 of us who are below 21. So what would happen is we'd be getting a plate of food, and then there is like, red wine, white wine, champagne, sherry, all kinds of alcoholic drinks, and they're pouring in and all that. All my friends would be so happy because below 21 is illegal to drink and nobody's asking. And we would always get that privilege to be with in such situations, and they would get dead drunk, right? And I would be the guy who would not drink, and I would be the one who would be the trusted person to take them back to college, because they'd be acting completely foolish out of their minds. And I was the person in charge because they knew I would never drink. The point is, for me, it was never a question even that, oh, that must be so tasty or whatever. I was like, yeah, that's not something I do, right? Beef, again, I used to be a meat eater, but I never thought of beef as even an option. Whereas a lot of my friends would be like, oh, let's try it out. In India, we couldn't do it because of our parents. The thing is, in their upbringing, the parents were like, you should not do it. Why you should not do it, that was never explained. In my upbringing, I was explained why I shouldn't, or why it is not desirable. So the parenting was such that these things were made undesirable in my mind. So as a result, there was no attraction whatsoever, right? So that protected me. And then Krishna consciousness came and had more clarity why one doesn't, eat or drink things in the mode of ignorance. So here, that's why he's saying that these modes are constantly fighting for supremacy. That if you are asleep, you're going to just go with the flow. And if you're awake, you'll learn to say no and go in your own direction. Next verse.
Chapter 14, text 11. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivritam sattvam iti uta. Translation. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge.
So this body is supposed to have 9 gates: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, the genitals, and the anus, right? So when it says the gates of the body, that's what is being meant. So when every gate is illuminated by the symptom of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in the right position, one can taste things in the right position, one becomes cleansed inside and out. In every gate, there's development of the symptom of happiness, and that is the position of goodness. So what you eat, what you see, what you smell, what you hear, even the act of procreation, how you have children and whatnot, all of that is imbued with goodness, and thereby you live a life of goodness, sattvic life. Right? Okay, next.
Chapter 14, text 12. Lobha pravitrir arambha कर्मणम् असमा स्पृहा.
Hello?
Yes, sorry. Lobha pravittir arambha karmanam.
Hare Krishna, you're not audible. Okay, I'll quickly read it and you can read the next one. Lobha pravittir arambha karma nam ashama spriha rajasi etani jante vivridhe bharatar sabha. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. Okay, I would say creeping, but develop. So Krishna is saying that when mode of passion, how do you know that there is increase of mode of passion? When you're attached to things, I have to get that and I need it now. Fruitive activities. I want that, this constantly desire. If I do this, I'll get that, and that will lead to happiness. And whoa, that's going to be amazing, right? So fruitive tendencies, intense endeavor. Now to get that, I need to work very, very hard. So I'll work like 12, 13 hours a day, right? Just hoping that I'll get that. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described that that's living life like an animal, like the donkey, right? The donkey, generally back in the days, they used to put a carrot in front of the donkey, and the donkey would keep looking at the carrot and keep walking towards it, thereby carrying massive loads, right? On the side of the road, there is grass, but the donkey doesn't see that. He sees the carrot, and he wants that carrot. And that endeavor, all of this hard work the donkey is putting in so that it can go for the carrot. And at the end of the day, the donkey doesn't get the carrot because the owner is going to use the carrot the next day. Again, they're putting the carrot in front of the donkey and the donkey keeps walking. So motive passion is like that. The boss is saying, I'm going to give you a promotion next year if you work very hard this year. So you're working very hard, you're getting all the work done, and you're hoping and praying that you get that. And then, you see some new guy comes in who takes over that position that you were supposed to be promoted to. And be like, damn it, how did this happen? Boss says, okay, I'll give you a little raise, but promotion will happen if you do blah, blah, blah. If you work extra hours, if you take on extra responsibility, maybe next year I'll recommend your name for promotion. And you work very, very hard and you keep going and you keep going and you hope and pray, right? That's mode of passion, that you're so attached to that promotion that you are being exploited. Only when you're attached to the outcome, you have a fruitive mentality, then you can be exploited by other people, right? A man can exploit a woman can exploit a man, a boss can exploit the employee, a parent can exploit the child, a child can exploit the parent, right? Whenever there is that attachment that one wants and somebody has access control on it, that's when these things happen. The person can be exploited, the person can be blackmailed, the person can be, strong armed. So how do you get out of that? When you feel you're being exploited, always know you have an alternative. And whatever you desire, it is not in the hands of that person, but Krishna. And Krishna can manifest it in this way or that way. Like I've shared with you, that investor meeting we were going to, and an investor wanted to strong arm us into a certain decision that was not good for the company. We didn't want to make the decision, but because they were going to invest an extra amount of money, they were kind of strong arming. Either you do it our way or else we won't invest that extra amount. When we started thinking in this direction, me and my co-founder were like, you know what, money is going to come from Krishna this way or that way, this investor or another investor. So let's not get strong armed. Let's hold on to our decision, our control, and the way we think that it is right. We held on to our end of the bargain and we said, hey, you know what? Without your investment, it will be a little slower. We'll have to look for investment elsewhere. or take a slower path. With your investment, it'll be faster. But we are not open to doing it in a way that will harm our company. The moment we put in that, they realize they cannot strong arm us. They cannot force us to go in a direction showcasing the carrot of investment. Then they had to come to a middle ground. And we were not being arrogant. We are open to middle ground. So they came a little, we stepped back to a little, and both parties agreed. So what happened is the exclusive power was in their hands, that we took back some of that power by saying, we are not dependent on you. We will do it this way or that way. With you, it'll be faster. But if you don't do it, we have other options. So not getting exploited, right? Same, it applies to anything, not just investor, entrepreneur, but employee, employer. There's options. In all aspects, there are always options. There's always a opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I'm not okay with it, and I have a choice. You always have a choice. Sometimes you might think you don't have a choice. Calm down, breathe in, breathe out, chant Hare Krishna, and think hard. You will see there are choices. Shubhradip is asking, I just want to clarify one thing. Without being attached or strong desire to get that position, how can we put that hard work? What's the guarantee that you put in the hard work and you will get that position? The desire can be strong. I'm not saying you're a pure devotee. Of course, we all have more passion within us. So we will have strong desires. We should work hard, but not like a donkey, right? We should work hard and smart in the right direction. Prayash, you have your hands raised for a long time. Please go ahead, ask.
Yes, so my question was like, how do we know that if something we really want or we are getting manipulated by this modes of passion or ignorance?
Know for a fact you're getting manipulated by the modes of passion and ignorance. There's nothing else in this material world but the modes of nature. The only thing that is not the modes of nature is the spiritual aspect. If you are desiring anything material, it is the modes of nature pushing in that direction. Now, are you going to hate yourself for it? No, you're not a pure devotee. So acknowledge that, you know what, I am weak and Durga Devi is very strong and she is influencing me. Fine. Maya Devi is influencing me and Krishna, please help me. That I make the right decisions. And Krishna, when you take shelter of Krishna, he's smart enough to take your material desire and morph it into a certain situation where you will develop more closeness, more proximity in your relationship with Krishna. As long as you request Krishna that, my dear Krishna, I have this desire. If you so desire, you can morph it in such a way that it brings me closer to you. So you might desire to be a successful entrepreneur. And by being a successful entrepreneur, you'll have influence on society, on your company, on your family. You can use that influence to make people devotees, right? Showcase a great man of character. And seeing your character, others will be like, wow, what's your secret? You don't lie to do good business. You don't cheat others to do good business. Wonderful. What's your secret? My secret is Bhagavad Gita. That is preaching, right? So it's not a bad thing to have material desires or rajasic desires, but be in a prayerful mood when you have the desires. So you invite Krishna to somehow or other use those opportunities to bring you closer to his lotus feet. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji, it really makes sense. Like would be one of the earliest things that I got from you, got to learn from you, that hey, whatever resources you have, just use it to teach Krishna consciousness and like it be a good I'd say example first and then you preach. I feel yeah, I just learned that from you. Thanks a lot, Prabhuji.
All right. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Shivani Bhatt.
Prabhuji, at this stage of spirituality, can we understand what does serving to Krishna means?
What? Serving Krishna?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think serving Krishna means? Let me ask you that.
Serving serving to Krishna will please me as well as Krishna.
But what does serving mean?
To do
Let me ask you a simple
Yes.
question. What does serving your parents mean?
to do what they want, in one sense.
In one sense. Serve or seva means to do something that's pleasing to the other person. Sometimes they want it, sometimes they might not explicitly want it. For example, if you cook for your parents on their anniversary, right, or give them a card, is that seva? Yes. If you see your fathers come home tired, you give a little massage, is that seva? Yes. If you buy a gift on their birthday. So same way with Krishna also, it's seva. We offer food to Krishna. We, when we get appreciation, we say, my dear Krishna, I'm passing this on to you because you gave me the ability. That's bringing on this appreciation. If someone, you have something that is an award or a gift or something, you say, my dear Krishna, let me offer this to you in my mind. So like that, Krishna likes to be part of your life. You're inviting him to be part of your life, and that pleases Krishna. That's seva. Krishna, now what to speak of when you listen to Krishna's instruction? In Bhagavad Gita, whatever he's saying, if you take those instructions to heart, that's seva. Right? So in different aspects, so Shravanam, it starts with hearing process. You hear the message of Krishna from Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, or Bhagavad Gita. Kirtanam, you share that message to yourself, to others, to your friends. Smaranam, you remember that message, right? As you hear, as you share, as you hear, as you share, as you apply it in your life, you remember it. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam, you worship the Lord, you pay your respects, you pay obeisances. So like that, at the earliest stage, this is enough. In fact, hearing is enough. You hear Krishna Katha, that's wonderful. And by hearing it, if you can chant a little bit, chant Hare Krishna, chant some of the shlokas, share some of the appreciation that you have for Bhagavad Gita, for Srila Prabhupada, who's written the purports, etc. That is seva. Does it make sense, Shivani?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And I should apologize to you. I didn't respond to you for many days. I'm sorry. I was actually, your message got buried, which happens to me a lot, by the way. But many of you, it might have happened where you messaged me and I didn't respond to you because I was on my way to ILS and I was packing last minute, finishing off work last minute, and I didn't have time to check my WhatsApps. If I don't check my WhatsApp, what happens is I get like hundreds and hundreds of messages stacking up. Then I just pick and choose the most important urgent ones and I respond to them. And I think I'll respond to the other ones a little later, and that just passes on and more messages stack up and I struggle. So my apologies, Shivani. You have to wait for a
Totally
week
fine.
to get your message
Totally
responded.
fine. Totally fine, Prabhuji.
Sure.
Uh,
It was a very sweet
Prabhuji,
message and it made me smile, but I was feeling horrible that I responded so late.
no, it's totally fine. Prabhuji, another question.
Mhm.
प्रभु जी जिस तरह कलयुग के बैड क्वालिटीज हरि नाम से डिस्ट्रॉय होते हैं, क्या उसी तरह सतयुग, त्रेता और द्वापर के बैड क्वालिटीज उनके ध्यान, यज्ञ एंड विग्रह पूजा से डिस्ट्रॉय हुआ करते थे?
That is the understanding. Krite Dhaito Vishnu. So Dhyan se in Satya Yoga, Dhyan on Vishnu would uproot those tendencies of, Kali Yuga, or uproot the negative tendencies rather. Right? So purification would happen in Satya Yoga through Dhyan over thousands of years. Treta Yoga, Yajito Makha, doing fire sacrifices, Dwapara Paricharanam, temple worship in Dwapara Yoga, and Kalautad Hari Kirtana. So in Kali Yoga, it's through Hari Sankirtan that those negative qualities are overcome and destroyed. Yes.
It means कलयुग में वो सारे negative qualities increase हो गए हैं, same negative qualities.
It was there always. It's just Kali Yuga. More people are in the mode of ignorance. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. We are born as Shudras in Kali Yuga. So that's the thing. So these qualities existed in Satya Yuga also, but very less people.
Okay.
Most people were Sattvic. In Kali Yuga, most people are Tamasic.
Okay.
Very few are Sattvic.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Out of 7 billion people, only 450 million people are vegetarian. Right? So very less people are Sattvic in Kali Yuga. But there is hope. The holy name is most powerful. It's more powerful than Dhyato, Vishnu, and doing fire sacrifice and everything else. And it's the most potent medicine. That is the fastest acting, most impactful given to us in Kali Yuga when we don't live more than 60, 70 years. So, we are very fortunate in that way, even though we are kind of fallen.
Okay.
That came in so late today. I thought after Mayapur you'll be more excited and you'll be here more like with enthusiasm. Anyway, so my teacher, Neera Mataji, she asked me to talk a little bit about ILS. It's called Leadership Sangha. So the last several days I was at Mayapur. So ISKCON Leadership Sangha happens every 2 years. And it was a lot of fun. The first couple of days, Indranath and Krishanu were with me there. So it's like the whole world of ISKCON leaders, the persons who you look up to, people you learn from, they're here and you get to learn from them, you get to associate with them, you get to ask questions, and there's no crowd because it's exclusively leaders. So there is no people who are not interested or here for tourism purposes. It is an exclusive group of very thought-provoking persons who have dedicated their lives to Krishna consciousness. So got to learn a lot. I got to speak all 5 days on my topic, which was I was speaking on how to make devotee entrepreneurs. Basically entrepreneurship, but with a devotional twist, with a devotional mindset. And it was well attended. Lots of devotees looking at entrepreneurship to be financially free, to have more time in their hands, more flexibility in their schedule to do their sadhana and Krishna consciousness. So entrepreneurship is a much better lifestyle. Although initially it's a lot of hard work, eventually it's a much better lifestyle where people can be free. So that was the whole purpose. Prasadam was excellent. The kirtans were mind-blowing. I shared in the Philosophy Friday group. So first day was Loknath Swami, second day was Niranjan Swami, my favorite, and third day was Shivram Swami, and fourth day was a drama on the Sakshi Gopal story. So it was the best. And waking up to parrots chirping and koels singing, it's just, the whole environment is mind-blowing. And the best part was ILS happened this year, not in a tent, but it happened in TOVP, the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. So, seeing the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, being inside it and actually having an event inside the Vedic Planetarium, before it even launched. So it was very special in many, many different ways. Yeah, that's all. I'll just take a quick break. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Neera Mataji, I hope that gets your curiosity.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. A little bit about TOVP also, if you could tell us.
Sure. So TOVP is a Temple of Vedic Planetarium. So Lord Nityananda, when he was giving tour of Mayapur to Jiva Goswami, he showed this area and said that there's going to be Adbhut Mandir one day. And the whole world will come to see this Adbhut Mandir, which will depict the glories of the Vedic wisdom. 100 years ago, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's the grand spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, he was looking for Mayapur, or the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, because although Navadvip was at that time misunderstood to be the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, after reading several books and looking at the archaeological structure of the land, he realized that the Ganga had moved from Lord Chaitanya's time till now, and it has moved back to where it used to be. So the Ganga had swept away the whole area where Lord Chaitanya's pastimes happened. As a result, people who were on the Navadvip side thought that birthplace was there. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, after doing a lot of study, a lot of structuring, he was praying to the Lord that please show me where. And one day he was walking in Mayapur looking for something, some special indication. And it's filled with Muslim farmers. So he asked them, is there something special here? There's nothing special here. There's just one piece of land where nothing grows but tulsi. It's a barren land, so we don't do anything with it. Just a bunch of tulsi grows, and that's about it. There's nothing special. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur immediately understood that if it is just growing tulsi, it must be special. He went there and he felt that there is something here, and it was pointing to a vision that he had the night before. He was in Godrum Dweep and he saw a vision where he saw this Adbhut Mandir on the other side of the river, and he saw the vision of Russians and Europeans and Americans chanting Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. They were chanting the glories of Lord Chaitanya. So when he reached there, he realized it might be the place. So he brought in his guru. His guru was 135 years old at that time, who used to be carried in a basket. And his eyes had to be opened with hand because he was so old. And as his guru was brought in for validation, spiritual validation, his guru, 135 years old, who could not move a single muscle in his body, jumped out of the basket, started dancing in ecstasy. Jai Sachinandana, that this is the place, Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that was a spiritual validation, but he also wanted a scientific validation. So he started digging in that land and eventually found the deity of Anandasesh, which was worshipped by Lord Chaitanya's father, Jagannath Mishra. So that was archaeological proof that this was Lord Chaitanya's house. This is where he was born. And so then he built this temple there. But he always knew that there's going to be that Adbhut Mandir that is going to be built. So when Srila Prabhupada, after establishing Vrindavan, after establishing Bombay, Juhu temple, and then Mayapur, Prabhupada gave an instruction to his disciples that in my lifetime I couldn't do it, but you guys do it. You create this Adbhut Mandir that Lord Nityananda predicted, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw a vision of, and you make that happen. So he actually specifically told Ambarish Prabhu, who's the grandson of Henry Ford. So he had the money, but because the communist government, for many decades, we couldn't pursue the building of this temple. So once the communist government fell, finally we were able to start the process of constructing the temple, and hopefully it will be launched in 2024. It's called the Temple of Vedic Planetarium because the upper part of the temple, it is showcasing the universal structure, the upper universal structure, not the hellish planets, but the upper universal structure according to the Vedic understanding, where at the top there is Radha Madhav, right? The Golok Vrindavan. Then there is Shiv Dham, right? Brahma Jyoti. Then comes Devi Dham, where we are. And in Devi Dham, there are the Lord Brahma's planet, the Tapa, so Brahma Loka, Mahar Loka, Tapa Loka, Jana Loka, like that, all these different lokas. And then there is Bhumandala, right? Our Loka. So like that, the upper planetary systems to Bhumandala is going to be showcased in the Vedic planetarium with explanations and everything, audiovisual exposure. And that way people will get an understanding of how sophisticated and advanced the Vedic cosmology is, right? And bringing it and connecting it back to modern scientific understanding. And, it would be quite a portrayal of Vedic science. And at the base, of course, there's Radha Madhav, Narasinghadev, Panchatattva, the 6 Goswamis. there's going to be worshipping. At every level, there's going to be 6,000 people who can stand and dance. So 6 levels, 6,000 into 6, the 36,000 people at the same time can be accommodated in the temple. And it has been built in such a way that it is earthquake proof. It is, protected, shielded from Ganga. Even if it changes its course, it is made in such a way the Ganga will be beneath it and the structure will still stand. So it is made for the next, 1,000 years, that it stands strong, and it's an archaeological genius. It has the best of the marbles and the things you can imagine. The marbles from Vietnam, blue marble, green marble, all kinds of the best you can imagine. There is no stone left unturned to make this mandir literally an Adbhut mandir, right? Never has ever something been built like this. And it's going to be the biggest structure of a temple ever built in the history of mankind. Wow.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Amazing information. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure. All right, we have 2 minutes left, so I'll just quickly answer a question by Aparna. Apologies for having audio issues. I have a question. Often certain situations cause anger, though we understand it is going to harm us only. How to be uninfluenced by the behaviors of others that causes anger and not let it impact us? Well, first thing is recognition. You recognize, oh, this behavior is impacting me. I don't have to be impacted. I have the choice not to be impacted. So pause, hit the pause button, recognize that I'm being influenced. Breathe in, breathe out. You'll see that your prefrontal cortex starts getting activated. Then you think, should I react? Should I not? Is it worth reacting? And slowly, you get in place. Now, this will not happen all in one go. You will have to keep trying. So recognize, reflect, rectify, and reinstate. The 4 R's, always remember that. So recognize there's a problem with you, that anger is a problem. Others can act, you can't change them, but you can act on yourself. So recognize there's a problem. Reflect, why am I feeling like this? Rectify, that I don't have to react, or I can react in a better way, or without burning bridges, I can behave in such a way that can be exemplary. Then reinstate back in action. All right, with this, I'll end today. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.